Okay, Coops, welcome back to the club. First and foremost, tell us how it come about and are you enjoying the start of it?
Coming back to the club, you mean?
Yeah.
I was signed at the Dragons I had another year in my contract, and there was some things went on back home where made a decision for us that we wanted to come back, and it was more for family reasons really, more than anything. But really enjoyed our time over in Australia, and son was born over there, and it was just getting a little bit too much being that far away from home. It's although it's only 1 day's flying, it feels like you're a million miles away sometimes. So we looked at coming back home, and spoke to Tony, spoke to Simon, and made it happen. So but absolutely buzzing to be back, and really enjoying the sort of like 4 or 5 weeks that I've had so far.
Does it seem like anything's changed while you've been back?
Yeah, it's changed quite a bit. I think sort of dynamics of the team's changed a little bit, and a lot of young players here, but young players with a lot of experience. So I think we're more professional across the board now than we ever have been, and I'm really impressed with how things have turned around really.
So looking at your NRL career, you went over those as an unknown really.
Yeah.
And I remember I was out there at that same time, and a lot of people were saying who's this Mike Cooper, and I was saying he's going to go really well, and he took it by a storm. You was one of the standout players for St George, especially when we watched it on Premier Sports. You was one of the standouts. What do you think you've learnt, and what you're looking to bring to the squad at Warrington?
I think I learned a lot about myself really, putting myself in that situation where I was under pressure, and I sort of really got a bit between my teeth, especially in my first pre-season that I did. As I said, no one even knew my name when I first went, and sort of took it upon myself to really make a statement at training and pre-season trial matches. And then when I first got my opportunity, and fortunately enough, Steve Briers, who was the coach at the time, the Dragons, gave me a chance in round 1 against the Tigers, and sort of went from there really. But I'm not forgetting the career I had at Warrington previously. Obviously we were in grand finals, and we won Challenge Cups, and we were League Leader Shield. So there's a lot of things that when I went to St George, a lot of skill things that I was probably better than some of them in terms of skill. But I just had to get a little bit fitter and had to work on some defensive stuff. And I'm still the same player that I was, but I think all round, better player from the experience, playing in these big games and the international games I've now played in. I think I'll bring that a lot more experience back to the team and help some of the younger players now.
Yeah, well, it's certainly been recognised in the training what we've done, that you've come back more mature, if you like.
Yeah.
I know you're middle 30s now. You've been around for ages.
I've been around for absolutely no longer as you.
But yeah, you can see the maturity, and that can only bode well for what we've got. The big question is what I suppose everybody gets asked: what is the difference? What's the difference from the NRL to the Super League?
Skill-wise, there's no difference whatsoever. I'd say the intensity across the board because of the amount of teams that they've got, and also the amount of kids that are playing. Everyone's desperate to get into an NRL side because they know, one, financially they're going to be looked after, and it's such a high-profile sport. With Sydney and most of Queensland, it's the biggest sport you can do. So there's no difference whatsoever. You train like we're training here 3-4 hours a day on the field. Yeah. You're going to get better when you're doing things repeated over and over again. And unfortunately for us, if it's 3 or 4 degrees and you're in the mud and the cold, it's very difficult to be out there for 2 hours at a time practicing skill. I don't think there's any difference whatsoever in the players. Maybe the only thing I could say was, as kids, they're probably fitter than what we would be at school level because they do a lot of athletics, swimming, that type of thing. So genetically, they're probably a little bit more advanced. But skill-wise, you see with the players that are over in Australia, there's no difference whatsoever. Cool.
Obviously, coming back here, it's been well documented later that you've got a bit of foothold into Latchford.
Yep.
What's the go there? Obviously, I do quite a bit of Thatchworth, and I think it's important that professional players go back to the clubs and put back. You're doing the same, which is a credit to yourself. What's that about, and what are you doing?
Well, so I'm director of rugby there with the open age at the minute, and basically all I wanted to do is, from what I saw in Australia, a lot of players were going back to the local teams, whether it be just going for a beer every now and again, showing the face, or doing a lot more presentations or helping out with coaching. It's really community spirit with the players there. So kind of wanted to bring that back to Latchford, and You know, I just think having been over in Australia and played at Warrington, too much experience not to sort of try and pass on to people. And if I can get more kids, not just at Latchford, but playing the game in general, then I think it'd be a big benefit. So that's really my main focus for Latchford. Really, is just to get more kids in that area, especially South Warrington, where Appleton, Stockton Heath, where I've spent most of my childhood. You know, there's not really a big rugby league area in such a big rugby league town. So trying to get more kids there as possible. Really.
Oh, that's fantastic. Just want to touch on one thing what I picked up on earlier in the conversation. Your son's born in Australia. Australian or English?
Well, according to the Aussies, he's Australian, but now he's got a British passport. And we had to choose from day one where he was going to want to be. But we named him George, so we couldn't get a more English name. So I spent my whole time rebelling against Australia, against the accent, against absolutely everything. So he's got the blonde hair and the blue eyes, so he does look a bit Aussie, but he's not got the skin tone.
He won't be surfing down.
He's not definitely not surfing. No, not if he's anything like me.
No, cool. Thanks for that, Coops.
All right, mate, no problem. Cheers, pal. Good.